Hey guys, welcome to late night basement, whatever the fuck I'm gonna call it. Late night basement productions. Welcome to late night basement productions. So tonight, I'm just thinking about, as the seasons come to an end on a lot of, television shows right now, I've just been thinking a lot about jumping the shark and how many shows are doing it these days. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with that euphemism, jumping the shark just applies to when a show has essentially run its course and is doing stupid things to try to maintain the viewership or the story or whatever. And the actual phrase "jumping the shark" comes from the show Happy Days, and in an episode where Fonzie, literally jumped over a shark with a pair of water skis on, and the term just basically came from there being absolutely no fucking point for him to do that, but he did. I'm fucking pissed and sick of my favorite shows doing it. It's been happening for years, and I'm over it. And, right now, the most recent show that has jumped the shark for me has been Castle, which stars Nathan Fillion. And I love it. I love that show. It's a great show, and there's a great relationship between the two main characters, and a lot of connection. And but the thing is that with couples on TV, it's always a lot more interesting while they're pursuing each other before they get together. And once they get together, it's a fucking hot mess. And that happens a lot. That happened on the show House. Starring Hugh Laurie and Lisa Edelstein. And their long, unrequited romance was finally, it finally happened. And in the beginning of the eighth season, I think, they consummated their relationship, and shit went downhill ever since. And this coming Monday, the 21st, is going to be the very last episode of the series because they blew it up. They jumped that shark. And man, that relationship was so awkward, the House and Cuddy relationship, and it ultimately led to the loss of Lisa Edelstein. But whatever. The X-Files, which I'll mention because it's one of my favorite shows of all time, and I absolutely, I still to this day feel a strong connection to that show. It actually aired an episode called Jump the Shark, which featured the death of the lone gunman, which was a conspiracy group that helped Mulder and Scully, the two main characters of the show. And they died, hence jumping the shark, hence the episode was called Jump the Shark. What the fuck ever. And then Mulder leaves the show, David Duchovny leaves the show. When the main character leaves the show, it's time to cut it out. Cut it out, as Dave Coulier would say. ER was on for about close to 15 seasons, but the systematic departure of nearly every original character, and then the return of Sherry fucking Stringfield, who was boring in the first two seasons and was even worse in 5, 6, and 7 or whatever. And speaking of Full House, you've got Uncle Jesse joining the show, John Stamos. You got fucking helicopters falling on everybody. Or one person, twice, 2 fucking helicopters. The fuck? And then the death of Mark Green. Shit, that show jumped it so many times. One of the earlier shows that I recall being really puzzled by was Roseanne. I mean, it was such an amazing show about blue-collar family, just kind of, living in the world in a really realistic way that a lot of people could relate to. And in their final season, Roseanne won the fucking lottery. Basically backing away from the premise of the working class family that they'd been defined by. They're all of a sudden rich, and it just completely put a wrench in things. And even worse than that, in the final episode, it was revealed that the whole series had been a dream, and that Roseanne is a writer, and in reality, Dan is dead, Jackie's a lesbian, no one won the lottery. What the fuck? And then the Beckys, fucking every season it seemed like there was a new Becky. Like they flipped coins every season to see who's gonna play Becky that season. Weeds. Fuck. That show started in a really amazing way, and Nancy Botwin, played by Mary Louise Parker, she went from being a mother, a widow, doing what she could do for her family, and turned into an entirely self-centered creature, only looking out for number one. And so the premise, the point of the show, the reason for this woman and her family to be involved in drug dealing and selling weed and being connected to some of the darker characters, it just became less and less interesting and less believable. You know, this past season they relocated for like the 5th time, this time to New York City. That season also started with moving 3 years into the future, post Nancy's release from prison. And I hate when that happens, because it's basically saying that we don't know how we're going to explain what's happened over these last 3 years, so we're just going to shoot right to it. And it's kind of insulting to the viewers, really. The Office. Oh, twist the knife and pull it out. Fucking. The Office was a brilliant show for several years, and then the loss of Michael Scott, played by Steve Carell. It should have been the departure of the entire show, period. That show was an incredible ensemble cast, but it was led by Steve Carell and by Michael Scott, and it was circled around him. And when he left, it just sort of left the show in a really awkward place. And the boredom that is Jim and Pam and their post-wedding nonsense. I mean, one of the best couples on television until they actually turned into boring family people. Whatever. Grey's Anatomy jumps the shark every friggin' episode, it seems, and it started jumping it a long time ago with when Izzy started seeing dead people and basically having sex with them. The amount of ridiculous deaths and gun couples coupling up and uncoupling up and over it. I'm sticking around because I'm looking forward to see what happens after this plane crash that happens on Thursday, and bam, I'm pretty sure that plane's gonna fucking fly over the shark. Fuck, shit, jump the shark. Glee, why'd you have to do this to me? It's used to be all about character exploration and exploring what these kids were going through and making them relatable, and it's just turned into a preachy show with an agenda. And then they've got the insanely long mid-season breaks. Normally when you have a show, you've got repeats here and there, but your main break, the major break, is from the end of the season in May until it comes back around September. But Glee has been known for doing that twice, with a mid-season break that just makes it really difficult to return at the end of. This time I did return, and what I saw was Quinn in a wheelchair after her devastating texting-related accident, dancing with Artie, the other wheelchair-bound kid. But essentially, Quinn was faking it all along because she's cray-cray. The finale's next week, and I will watch it. But I anticipate some jumping. True Blood is another favorite of mine that's just been, what's going on here? I mean, we've got an excessive number of supernatural creatures. First it was about vampires, and now we've got werepanthers and fairy godmothers and witches and shapeshifters, and it's I'm not quite sure what's going on with that yet. And this also did a big move ahead into the future at the beginning of season 4, moving forward between Sookie's kidnapping in the end of season 3 and her reappearance in the season 4 premiere with her fairy godmother. So instead of, again, explaining what had happened, they said, here we are, we'll deal with it from now, and you can, from here on in, and you can sort of make it up yourself. And Tara's all of a sudden a lesbian cage fighter? Like, what the fuck? You always know that a show is jumping the shark when you've got a birth, or a death, or a marriage, or a movie crossover, or some new kid showing up like what's-his-face from the Brady Bunch, or Seven from Married with Children. Like, who the fuck is Seven? Anytime a show decides to fucking sing, or do a musical episode, or an alternative universe episode, well, those would be called House and Grey's Anatomy. Sick of it. Sick of it. Just sick of it.